The hardest part in life is not always the situation itself, but the moment when we finally accept reality. Many people believe that pain comes only from failure, loss, or disappointment. However, in many cases, the real pain comes from our refusal to accept what is already true. We try to hold on to old expectations, even when they no longer match the present. We tell ourselves that things will change soon, or that this situation is only temporary. But deep inside, we often know the truth. We just do not want to face it. Accepting reality is difficult because it forces us to let go of the version of life we once believed in. We all create stories in our minds. These stories help us feel safe and give us a sense of direction. For example, we may believe that our hard work will always lead to success, or that certain people will stay in our lives forever. These ideas are comforting, and they help us move forward. But life does not always follow our plans. When reality does not match our expectations, we feel confused and sometimes even betrayed. One of the most common situations where people struggle to accept reality is in relationships. You may believe that someone truly understands you, supports you, and will always be there. You build your daily life around this connection. You imagine a future together, and you invest your emotions deeply. Then something changes. The person becomes distant, or they leave completely. At first, your mind refuses to accept this change. You go back to old messages, memories, and conversations. You try to find signs that everything is still the same. You may even create hope without clear reason. This is not because you are weak, but because your mind is trying to protect you from emotional pain. However, the longer you stay in denial, the more difficult the situation becomes. You stay connected to something that is no longer real, and this prevents you from moving forward. Accepting that the relationship has changed or even ended is painful. It feels like losing a part of your identity, but it is also the first step toward healing. When you accept the truth, you slowly begin to rebuild yourself. A similar pattern happens when we face failure. When we fail at something important, our first reaction is often to avoid responsibility. We may blame other people, bad timing, or unfair conditions. In some cases, these factors may be true, but if we only focus on them, we miss the chance to grow. Accepting reality in this situation means looking at ourselves honestly. It means asking questions like, what could I have done better? Or, what skills do I need to improve? This kind of reflection is not comfortable, but it is necessary for progress. Another reason why accepting reality is so challenging is that it often requires change. As long as we continue to deny the truth, we can stay in our comfort zone. We do not need to make difficult decisions, and we can avoid uncomfortable actions. But once we accept reality, we can no longer ignore what needs to be done. If we realize that our job is not suitable for us, we may need to search for a new one. If we understand that our habits are unhealthy, we need to change them. These actions require effort, courage, and patience. Fear also plays an important role in this process. When we accept reality, we often step into uncertainty. We may not know what will happen next, and this creates anxiety. For example, leaving a stable job or ending a long relationship can feel very risky. Even if the current situation is not good, it is still familiar. And sometimes, people prefer a familiar problem over an unknown future. This is why many people stay in situations that do not make them happy. In addition, Accepting reality often brings sadness. This sadness comes from letting go of what we hoped for. It may be a dream, a plan, or a relationship that we deeply valued. Letting go does not mean that these things were not important. In fact, the sadness shows that they mattered to us. It is a natural emotional response. Instead of avoiding this feeling, we should allow ourselves to experience it. Over time, sadness becomes lighter, and we begin to see things more clearly. When we finally accept reality, something important changes in our mindset. We stop fighting against the truth. This does not mean that we agree with everything that happens. It simply means that we recognize the situation as it is. This shift allows us to use our energy in a more productive way. Instead of denying or avoiding the problem, we start looking for solutions. We ask ourselves what we can do next, rather than why this happened to us. Acceptance also brings clarity. When we are honest about our situation, we can better understand what is under our control and what is not. This helps us make better decisions. For example, we cannot control other people's actions, but we can control how we respond. We cannot change the past, but we can learn from it and improve our future. This understanding gives us a sense of direction. It is important to understand that accepting reality does not mean giving up. Many people confuse these two ideas. Giving up means losing hope and stopping all effort. Acceptance, on the other hand, means adjusting our actions based on the truth. It means choosing a different path when the current one is no longer working. In fact, acceptance can be the beginning of real growth. When we see things clearly, we can set more realistic goals and take more effective steps. For example, imagine someone who wants to improve their health. If they continue to believe that their habits are not a problem, they will not make any changes. But if they accept that their current lifestyle is harmful, they can start building better habits. They may begin with small actions, such as exercising regularly or eating healthier food. Over time, these small steps can lead to significant improvement. The process of acceptance is not always quick or simple. It often takes time. We may move forward one day and then go back to denial the next. This is a normal part of human behavior. Our minds need time to adjust to new realities. What matters is not how fast we accept the truth, but whether we are willing to face it eventually. During this process, it is important to treat ourselves with patience and understanding. We should not expect ourselves to handle everything perfectly. There will be moments when we feel confused, emotional, or even overwhelmed. These feelings do not mean that we are failing. They mean that we are going through a process of change. By accepting these emotions, we make the journey easier. Talking to others can also support us in accepting reality. Sometimes, we are too close to a situation to see it clearly. A friend or a mentor can offer a different perspective. They may help us understand things that we have ignored or avoided. Even simple conversations can bring new insights and help us move forward. In the end, accepting reality is about choosing truth over comfort. It is about facing life as it is, instead of how we wish it to be. This choice is not easy, but it is necessary if we want to grow. When we accept reality, we stop living in confusion and start living with awareness. We begin to make decisions that are based on truth, not on fear or illusion. The hardest part is always the beginning. It is the moment when we stop avoiding the truth and decide to face it. This moment may feel uncomfortable and even painful. But it is also the moment when change becomes possible. Once we accept reality, we open the door to new opportunities. We may not know exactly what will happen next, but at least we are moving in a real direction. So, if you are facing a difficult situation right now, take a small step toward acceptance. You do not need to solve everything immediately. Just start by being honest with yourself. Ask simple but important questions. What is really happening? What am I avoiding? What can I do next? These questions can help you move from denial to understanding. Because in the end, reality is not something we need to fear. It is something we need to understand. And once we accept it, we gain the power to change our lives in a meaningful way.